Hello, hello.
Welcome back
To another episode of
the Lightworker Twins.
and like honorable mention to the fact that this is just like one of the great things about the Lightworker twin era that's happening. I'm literally wearing her clothes, like
hmm
this shirt, this like blazer jacket, and she's wearing mine. The
hmm
scarf, the shirt, the glasses, and the necklace I'm wearing is hers. This is like such a metaphor because you know, as twins and like if you are it's a very individual experience to being a twin where it's like when you grow up with someone and you go through everything together, you either love the fuck out of each other and are codependent as hell, or you end up hating each other's guts. Depends. And it's like, a very interesting journey. And me and Genevieve, I feel like, we're very, and I feel like childhood had something to do with it too, where it's like, because we grew up in such a tumultuous, psychotic home, it was like we just really like leaned on
hmm
each other.
hmm
And like we didn't, I mean, there would be times where people would like pit us against each other when we were younger, like, oh, she's the hotter twin, which
hmm
changed like every other month. And then
hmm
like, oh, she's the interesting twin, or she's good at this, she's good at that, or like,
Noise, 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 noise.
yeah. Yeah. And like, but then it's like I feel like we were very kind of enmeshed, which is
hmm
understandable
hmm
given how we grew up. Um, and
Yeah, it was like I feel like we leaned on each other for like a sense of stability,
yeah.
when we couldn't necessarily do that other places.
Yeah, like I feel like most people they're like, "Oh, I can always like fall back on my parents." Like if you go through a breakup, like you can go home to your parents
Mhm.
and go to your childhood room and your mom makes you cookies. We don't got that. We got each other.
Yeah, and also too, like I feel like that we have whole thoughts on that because, obviously in this podcast we're going to be talking about so many different things. Me being a mother, her being auntie, Auntie Nana is what he calls her. And us being business owners, I'm married, Gianna being in her eras.
Single.
Single. Um,
Single. Hope you enjoyed that, audio listeners, anyways.
Yeah, but yeah, just like the perspective that we have on all of these things, especially like based on how we grew up and what we've created, what we've built individually, the what we're doing together now. But yeah, we have a very unique perspective, obviously, because it's not a lot of people, and just to fucking say it, get to this level coming from where we came from. And yeah, so I'm excited to share those things because there is a lot of people, and for what I want to say is anyone who has someone that they can lean on, like it is such a gift, right? And there might even be people listening to this who are like, I don't have parents I can lean on, I don't have siblings, and for that, like, come here, we'll share.
But sometimes, like, chosen family are the people you lean on, like friends.
Totally. Yeah. And so you can build that, you can create that. And, especially being like a business owner, being a mother, being a wife, like community is so important and family is so important, aligned family, right? Because we talked about how we, I, kind of distanced the in-laws in one of the previous episodes and appreciated some of the messages I got around that, by the way. And, yeah, you know, just because you didn't have a certain level of support doesn't mean you have to settle. That's so fucking important. And I think Gianna really embodies that relationship so well. Um, yeah, and she's always been like, "Oh, I'm the girl who's willing to walk away." So you're not just being chosen, you're also choosing, right? Which Gianna has a program upcoming called that. You may or may not have seen it, but it's so fucking good. Um,
Stay tuned.
yeah, stay tuned. And yeah, you have a say in your life, right? Like you get to build your life however you want. You get to have amazing community and support. It does not matter where you came from or what your like vantage point coming into this life is because, as souls, it's all on purpose and sometimes it's annoying as fuck, right? And I was saying to a client a couple weeks ago, sorry, I'm just like I was saying to a client a couple weeks ago that there was a point in time when I was younger where I was very, what's the word, like frustrated and resentful and jealous of people
Same.
of people who had like reliable family, who came from money or even just stability financially. And there was this moment I had with myself where I was like, I had a chip on my fucking shoulder about it, right? I had a chip on my shoulder And I was like, that's not fair. And maybe it is, maybe it fucking isn't, whatever the fuck, right? But I was like, I had this moment where I had to decide, like, I'm not gonna walk around with a chip on my shoulder and be like this overcomey ass bitch, right? Because that's not the life I came here to live. I came here to live a really good life, receive, live in alignment, pleasure, like all the things. And I had to decide that I didn't need that, and not from this place of like, I walk alone, I walk a
My shadows are I don't know the words. I went to a Green Day concert like last year too. I'm sorry. Love you, Green Day.
terrible. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Um,
What is
it'll come back to you. Anyways, I don't want to lose my train of thought. But it's like I had to make this decision because it felt like the options were be chip on my shoulder or go to the other end of the same coin, which was like I just have to accept it and like walk through life with this aloneness type of feeling. And I was like, fuck that shit. Like I want to feel supported, not just financially, right? Which is like a fucking code that I've nailed, and also, teach other people. But it's like I want to feel supported by life. And I feel like a lot of the things I teach with money intersect obviously with life and business, duh, in really big ways. But I was like, I'm fundamentally supported by life. And when I really locked that in, first of all, I started making exorbitant blah, 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 more money. But also, like, I just walked through the world with a greater sense of ease in my body, right? Where I felt supported and I felt safe and I felt like, because when I got available for support, it's like more money flows through this. It flows through these aligned relationships, aligned partnership, aligned friendships, family. We all know I manifested Gianna moving here after the in-laws, moved back east.
Yeah.
And I totally manifested the fuck out of that. I take full
Hands
credit.
off my life. Stop it.
I take full credit for that.
Yeah, I was visiting once and I walked in the room and she was like had this like whole black cape on over her head and there was like these candles lit and it was all dark and she
Mhm.
was like and I just saw my picture in the room
And then I was like,
and there was like some blood on it and she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh God.
in case you didn't pick up on this, she's joking. But yeah.
Hmm.
I was actually wearing this black jacket.
You kind of had it over your head or something.
Yeah, it was like, yeah. Anyways, but there was just this moment of deciding, right? And I feel like every time we make decisions that are in alignment with what we want, I taught a lot about this in my identity experience. It's like we integrate energetically, so we literally become more whole and we become like a stronger signal energetically. But we also like we become more energetically resonant with who we came here to be, right? And then life begins like automatically mirroring and matching us instead of this, like what I say, artificially created experience where you're like overextending yourself and overcoming your life.
And
And
you're like building a life
Mhm.
on dark contracts. It's like on pain and on trauma a lot
Mm.
of the times. Like I had a psychic say that to me once about like she used that word and it like stayed with me. She's like people like build paradigms. She didn't say paradigms, but she was like people build stuff on dark contracts and it's like, you
Like
know,
on the wounds and on the shadows, and instead of integrating.
yeah. And like I feel like Genevieve and I both had to come to this conclusion of like, because I had the same shit. Like I would see like in high school, like we didn't get cars when we turned 16. Like we couldn't afford like prom dresses, like things like that, right? And like I remember like seeing these girls who came from just like privileged families and being like, yeah, like over spring break, like my parents took me to Japan and I was like, couldn't even like fathom that. I was like, the
Mhm.
fuck? Like I've never been on like a vacation in my life. My mom has promised and it hasn't really ever happened. But it's like, and there was just like such an envy and I feel like in early adulthood, I really like made peace with instead of just feeling this hurt from like what my parents are or what they are not, like what we had, what we didn't have. And I just kind of like really trusted that like my soul chose my family and like what I would be born into and the timing and who I am and like my
On
interests on
purpose.
purpose. And it would
Mhm.
perfectly set me up to be, do, and have what I was meant to and called to be, do, and have in this life every single time. And
Can I say something with
yeah.
that? Yeah, I think that's a really important thing where it's like when you can let go of this identity, right, of being
Disadvantage.
behind and disadvantaged, like even if practically on paper you were disadvantaged and you are, but it's like you can't carry that with you into this life because life will continue to mirror and match that same frequency, right? But when you're like this, when I fundamentally begin to accept that I was set up perfectly to be who I came here to be, to have like do be have everything that I want, right? It's like where you came from is an advantage.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth.
Hmm.
Twin telepathy right there. But like, it's like what you have is not your disadvantage, it's your edge. And
Hmm.
like us leaning into the twin podcast
Hmm.
is us leaning into one of our edges because
Hmm.
it's like, you know, one thing that it's like me and Genevieve have always had each other's backs and we always will. Doesn't mean we haven't like annoyed each other or whatever, but it's like out of all we are definitely like Stefan and Damon Salvatore. Like Elena has died off. She's in the tomb
Hmm.
and like and it's the Salvatore brothers now.
Hmm.
But the Lightworker Twins. And yeah, and so I'm really excited because it's like I feel like we're just at such a primed place where it's like we're in the last couple weeks of our Saturn return.
Hmm.
We've shed the things that we've needed to shed. For
Oh
me,
yeah. And
yeah,
for me.
yeah. And for me, there was a relationship casualty in there, right?
Mhm.
And locational shift and all the things.
And for me, I lost, I had to get a new phone and my water bottle disappeared.
You keep saying that. The trauma.
It's kind of like a funny thing. No, I obviously navigated
There
some
was more,
shit.
but yeah.
Childcare drama, just this part of me that was like,
Boundaries, yeah.
yeah, boundaries. I also had to like let go of like some trauma I was holding on to around like Sebastian, my son. If you don't know, he almost died a couple times actually, like in labor. And then when he was about 6 months old, he has a heart condition. And like a couple days before his scheduled surgery, we like took him in because he was looking a little, I mean, he was always pale because of his heart condition, but he was looking a little bluey and he caught the cold. And, if you know, your oxygen levels are supposed to be like 99, 100. We took him in and he started seeming better and we almost didn't, but I was like, no, we should just to be safe. And they were like, we need to call an ambulance. His oxygen is 40. Yeah. And they were like, call an ambulance. And then it was like ambulance, life flight, like all the things, right? And so that obviously created some trauma, right? And
Yeah.
for me, it really challenged like a foundational belief within me around feeling supported by life. And I was like, I feel supported by life, but does my child get to? And that was so, I like feel emotional thinking about it right now because he's just so
Sebastian is so beautiful and perfect.
and like these tears aren't like this isn't sadness. Like it's actually like a really beautiful feeling. I'm sorry. But I was like,
Watch where you're going.
but just to like there was like an extension of my energy that integrated after that was um like he is so safe and supported, and on the back end of all of that, um, he's so safe and supported by life and like he gets to live a really good life and a part of that is living, right? And, there was some part of me that was grappling with that unconsciously after all of that happened. And it made it so that I was manifesting all this drama around childcare, right? And it was like I couldn't find a nanny. Like because again, it's like we can try and look at the thing and try and overcome it and fix it and fix it and fix it. And it's like that's overcoming your life. But at the end of the day, if we fundamentally accept that we have what we have because we are an energetic match to it, and I did that, it was like, okay, why don't I want this to work out? And there was this subtle tension in my body that was like, I don't trust anyone, right? I'm like I have to keep him safe. Like I keep him alive. Like I had to like almost like fist fight a nurse to get on the helicopter to life flight with him. I was like, I'm coming. I'm not asking. I'm coming. Do what you got to do. I'm coming. Um, and after that, yeah, it was just like fun to like I'm fundamentally supported, but also my mom beliefs so is my child. And if I have more children, so my children are fundamentally as well. And there's something about being a mom where energetically you have kind of spiritual authority over your children. I don't know, like you just feel it. And if you're a mom, you know this until they're old enough, I feel like. And so it was like
Real quick, can I say something about the energetic authority thing over
yeah,
children?
1 second, but
Yeah.
just reworking like almost it felt like energetically reworking like a spiritual family contract by just claiming
Yeah.
that for him, And then when I accepted that, I felt ease and lightness in my body around it. We found an amazing nanny, and
Yeah.
she's actually just leaving right now.
Yeah, she's great. Well, because what I was gonna say
Mhm,
is because our mom is like a psychic medium, and that was
mhm,
another thing that I like was like, okay, instead of like being mad that like I didn't have a mom who would like give me an allowance and like make me cookies and
mhm,
make me feel all like safe and supported, but I have this like uh cuckoo lady, which I say affectionately, like who can sling those tarot cards like nobody's business, which,
Mhm.
um, but and being like, okay, like she's not like this kind of mom, but she is this kind of mom, and like I appreciate that so much. And like there's a lot
Mhm.
of people who had like the traditional like mom who was like very stable and secure, maybe a little smothery, and I used to be like, I wish I had that, but now I'm like, no, like I'm so glad I have like the mom that I have.
Mhm.
Like the mom that I could smoke a doobie with if I wanted to, you know what I mean? And wouldn't be like, what are you doing? Right. Not that I really do that, honestly. Makes me freak out and see things, but
We are
but
not THC people. I'm
I mean,
kidding.
I can do a little bit with CBD, like to sleep, but yeah,
Mhm.
not regularly.
Yeah.
Um, but I
Um,
was gonna
yeah.
the energetic authority thing. So what did mom say? She was like, mothers have spiritual authority over their kids till they're 17 or 15 or 7 or 15. I get
I don't remember. I actually told mom this because I was saying my mom actually came out when we were going through that with Sebastian, which was, well, actually, she was already here. She was visiting. So it was like perfectly timed that she was here. And it was so nice to have her here. And she was doing like emotion coding on me. And I was like so sleep deprived because I, you know, couldn't sleep and whatever. And I was like trying to sleep on a hospital bed. Anyways, and I was just like, but I just remember she would come up behind me and do whatever she was doing with my older sister Bella. That was so nice. But yeah, I told her something where I was like, I felt this thing where I was like, I get to claim spiritual authority over him. And so like I get to keep his like energetic field clean, clear, all the things, like, which is why as mothers, up until a certain point, when you shift your energy, your kids automatically like they're like the instant manifestation, right? Where they're like immediately begin mirroring that energy.
And
It's
this
crazy.
also is reflective in like attachment psychology too. So
Totally.
I love how it just like mirrors in the spiritual and
Mm-hmm.
energetic and the psychology. It all links up
Yeah, we
always.
we were actually talking about this at my client dinner that I did a couple nights ago in Denver with my close proximity invite only mastermind. And we keep it intimate, which I love those women. They're so fucking incredible. Anyways, they
Mhm.
were asking me something about you know, being psychic and intuitive and all the things. And um it got us talking about my mom. And I was like, yeah, I grew up with my mom being a psychic medium. Like I always knew that I was because it was just so normalized. And then, but yeah, overall, like incredible, amazing, mind-blowingly so better than I could have ever imagined, anticipated, or expected dinner with my clients. And afterwards, I was saying to Gianna, I was like, oh, I don't want this to be over. And they were like, oh, I like a similar sentiments were shared by clients. I was like, oh, I don't want this to end. And I was like, and then one of my clients flying back to the UK, and I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I definitely had thoughts in that moment. I was like, oh, I wish they would just stay and we could just do this forever, just amazing experience. And I was like, and I was like, how would that even work? And my brain was just like braining, how would that even work? And it was like, well, we'd all have to live, we'd have to get land and live. And I was like, oh, this is how cold started.
Have to get land. And then you know what actually makes the most sense? That we have a universal currency where everybody's investing back into the land. And I should be in control of this. I'm just kidding.
That part you lost me at. And I was like, no. But I was like, this cold thing could be a slippery slope.
No,
No, but it was
so real. Sometimes like I
just
see
a feeling of like, oh, like I want this to stay forever. But it's perfect because those moments of like popping in and having these immersion experiences, you can go bring it into your life and your work, your business, your finances, your family, all the things.
and this is a joke, by the way,
Mhm.
because some of you guys on the internet can't take jokes, but our people can. But I was like,
Especially the ones that hang out on Reddit, I noticed.
when's the last time you got laid? To be honest, just between
Well, isn't there a
us.
thing with people? I don't know what I'm allowed to say, but it's like they did some studies where people who hang out on Reddit a lot, obviously, like there's that whole like incel thing where it's
Mhm.
just easy to get wrapped up in things. But what's the word? People they get extreme. What's the word? I can't think of the word. But they basically get mobilized, if you will, into extremism,
Oh,
right?
oh,
And
oh,
then
oh, oh.
those are the people that
Not
end up
indoctrinated, but what's the word?
those are the people who end up
Yeah.
doing like crazy stuff and end up on the news for it. You know what I'm saying? So touch grass.
It is a intense phenomenon called has not been laid in a while.
It's probably a part of it.
You probably need some
I,
anal
I
too. Loosen you up a
understand.
bit.
I understand because it's like people want to feel seen, they want to feel heard. And if you don't feel like that, it's easy to go to an anonymous space, right? But it's like you ultimately have to take a step back and be like, is this actually healthy? Is this reflective of who I am, who I want to be in this world, and how I desire to operate? Because I think we got to be careful of those echo chamber things, especially for extended period of time, especially when it comes to opinions. Like I'm not, like surround yourself with people who think like you, uplift you, all the things in a way that's helpful. But if you're closed off, that's when it's dangerous. That's when it gets like a slippery slope into
Extreme, yeah, stuff.
just something that's like is that's not healthy, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm. Compassion,
compassion,
compassion.
compassion, and also grow up. Thank you. She said she was being all eloquent and thoughtful, and I'm just like, grow up, baby.
I mean, I have that too. One of the affirmations at the dinner was "Face fuck these hoes." So
Yeah. Um, but
it's like, do we really need to, overly? Have you ever just thought about having the audacity instead of asking for
and
permission,
like infantilizing grown adults.
needing people to get it all the time? Have you ever just thought about showing up, taking up space, and face fucking these hoes?
Yeah, I mean, it's like such a fine line between like compassion and
People
and
pleasing.
being trauma informed versus like
Mhm.
just being like such an enabling like drained people pleaser who just is available for people to like like shit on you and treat you like shit and emotionally abuse you.
Yeah.
And just absolutely you can suck my nuts on that one.
Hmm.
Um but
Agreed.
yeah, like I won't be mean to you. I'll just I'm like I don't know, like
At a point, it's just like noise, 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 noise,
I
noise. Change
know.
the noise. We tune out fucking noise.
Because I mean, I just feel like, and part of it is like from entrepreneurship and relationship work and leadership work that I've done on myself over the years, but I have such a high capacity to be able to handle people's shit and just like brush it right off. Like I'm just like,
Hmm.
you know, and it's just like you could suck my nuts, but I'm gonna go focus on the people who are ready and
Yeah.
get it and click. But yeah, I don't have nuts to be clear. Just my ovary nuts, my ovary, whatever. But
Your inside nuts.
my nuts are on the inside. But in general, so with that said, it's like me and Genevieve are at this place, and I feel like the universe really needed us to kind of do our own stuff and like we really carved our own identities out and our own work and like now the universe is like okay you are ready to fully activate the Wonder Twin advantage here.
Because it would just be a
It
fucking
would be such a
waste if we
waste.
didn't do, we
I
felt
mean,
this.
these face cards, the twin thing,
We
like,
felt like that. We felt like this at the end of high school where we never really did like the twin swappy thing. And so, like the very end of high school, I got detention for something. Ha. Um, on brand. But and then her boyfriend at the time was in detention, and so we switched, and she did detention for
and I
me.
just hung out with my boyfriend.
And then we also traded on graduation, where we accepted each other's things.
Well, I
That was like the
forgot
final.
about
We're
that.
like, we really just underutilized this shit, man.
Yeah, we walked and accepted each other's diplomas. That was
Hmm.
funny. Um, but yeah, so like with that said, we like you got to use what you have and like everybody has something. We all have our divine advantages and disadvantages. And like when you stop telling yourself, I can't or this is why it's not going to work, you stop holding yourself back and you let things really really work and get really good. And
Hmm.
so with that said, we are actually going to be doing an event in LA
In the end of March.
the end of March.
Hmm.
Yes. And I'm really excited because I've done a fair amount of like my own in-person work with clients over the years. I've done dinners, I've done day-long events. Genevieve has done her own work with clients. And like, I just, like, we're just going to have such a powerful experience in LA. The early enrollment pricing for it will probably be potentially be expired by the time this podcast episode drops, but it's going to incrementally increase. So if you are interested in hanging out with us in LA for an elevating
And
experience,
we're capping it at 20 people,
yeah,
right?
we are
Yeah.
capping it at 20 people. Um,
But the vibe is like, in person, I'm like,
I know.
I'm getting like horny for in-person stuff.
I know, me
So
too.
I was like, especially after this dinner, and I was like, okay, we're doing an in-person and this thing and, and this thing and all the things. But yeah, the way it just kind of collapses time around growth and integration through an immersion type of experience. And, it's like getting out of your environment, getting around people who inspire you, who,
Who are embodied.
because,
So I just feel like behind a screen, like don't get me wrong, you can do really powerful stuff long
oh yeah,
distance, but
totally.
like
as a mentor and also like as someone who's attended things and like the feedback I've gotten from clients with in-person work is like it just feels so much more real and intimate, and there's not really like anywhere to hide, right? There's like a somatic level processing that happens when you're like looking at somebody in the face
Mhm.
and like you're feeling the person who's made that money, who's made those relationship moves, who is expressed that way online, and you're like, "Oh, like you're a person.
Mhm.
I'm a person," and you're looking at me in the face and you're like in like calling me to rise in these certain things. And it's just so incredibly powerful and immersive.
And also too, something I want to say, and like it's just fucking true, so feel how you
Mhm.
feel about it. If you when you meet someone in person that you admire and look up to, that has inspired you or positively impacted you in some way, shape, or form, something about that just integrates a whole new level of identity for yourself. It
100%.
just like normalizes it. And, like for example, like I met some of my mastermind clients for the first time in person, all of them.
Wait,
I just felt
all
like
of them. Yeah.
yeah, I just felt like I've met them before, but it was
Yeah.
like, you know, even what some of the women shared there, they're like, it just adds so much to like the work that we've already done by just like getting to squeeze you in person and drink sake with you and
Mhm.
like talk shit and have fun and hang out and coach and just elevate and uplift like
And have powerful conversations.
the
Yeah.
whole
That are
thing.
also vulnerable.
The whole thing is like elevate with the Lightworker Twins, bitch. So
Hmm.
elevate in money, in business, in relationships, in
Feminine
leadership.
energy, leadership.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because it's like individually, we're unstoppable. Together, what's after unstoppable?
We're about to find out in LA.
Yeah, kaboom. It'll be the Big Bang, really, a whole new universe. But the vibes will be, um, there will be a like pre-cocktail like coaching immersion experience with us in a lovely suite, which the details and location are given to you after you enroll and sign up.
Mhm.
And we're going to spend probably like a few hours like before dinner.
Snacks, champagne, non-alcoholic beverage options as well,
Mm-hmm.
and just like vibing and coaching. Because like that's the whole thing. It's like immersion, vibing, hanging out, also like but coaching, like
Yeah.
real fucking shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we're going to have a incredible dinner on us. Um,
Naturally.
yeah,
Mhm.
where we are going to have some delicious food and we are going to be dressed to impress because like get dressed up, feel yourself. You should be feeling yourself. And we're going to have even more
Yeah.
like of a good time together and like coaching and like connecting with other women and like hearing other women's stories and experiences and relationships and businesses and like just really getting to soak in the value from the things that they're asking to. So
Mhm.
this is really going to be a powerful event for women who are feminine lover girls at heart that also embrace self-love and sovereignty and boundaries and standards, but are also powerful leaders
Mhm.
or want to be and are business owners and just fucking baddies.
And for my money bitches, or my money bitches at
Yeah. Money bitch.
I've been told. Do you remember that friend we had in Asheville? And she's like, I feel like every time I hang out with you,
She
I
called you the money genie.
yeah, and she would like she like when we started to hang out, she would just come up to me and like rub my arm and be like, and I was like, what are you doing? She's like, you're the money genie when I heard you have any more money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is something about like a yeah, just like a I don't know, there were a couple moments of this at the dinner too, where it's just like when you be who you are because you've done all this work and you've integrated. And like I said, where it's like we've started from, we lived in a studio house without power, snacked on onion flakes with,
Mhm. Three dogs.
and three people counting us, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's not a boom and bottom hour, but it's there's a held energy and frequency and standard that just you calibrate to, like
Hmm.
in person is really powerful for that. Um, and yeah, it just integrates things so quickly. So would love to have you there.
Yes, 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 yes. And also, if you are just hearing about it on the podcast, feel free to reach out to either of us on the socials of choice to inquire more about the event if you are interested in joining us in LA in March, the end of March. But there's like three little notes of things that we want to touch on. So, can you like Genevieve, like, can you share about the difference between people who talk about money and like money energetics, and money manifestation, the difference between people who like come from money, like maybe have trust funds, grew up um, upper middle class or even more, because there's a lot of people like that in the coaching industry. And no shade, I'll be interested in Genevieve's perspective because I know she has a really good one. But and then there's people who are like Genevieve, who are really such a potent example of the range of what you can create despite like where you've been. And I just feel like we were chatting about this earlier, so like we have to save this for the podcast too.
Yeah. You know, like to me, it's like I plan on raising a nepo baby with the trust fund.
Yeah.
So,
Nepo nephew.
yeah. So a younger version of me would be like, right, and scoff, but it was just the one who felt disadvantaged and like things were unfair, right? If you are in a position where your family, your parents were able to provide something like that for you, like that's amazing. And like I don't think people should feel bad for having
Yeah,
trust funds.
for sure.
Um,
Like good for you.
yeah, and for your family, right? And obviously
Mhm.
we can talk about the whole background of, people starting further ahead than others, right? And the problematic things around that. Obviously, we have thoughts and opinions, but that's not the point of this. But I just want to acknowledge that because I
Yeah,
think that's
privilege,
important.
all kinds of different
Totally.
privileges. Yeah.
Um,
White privilege, etc.
but anyway, so the if you have a trust fund, rock on, right? But my whole thing is everyone, if you genuinely feel called to talk about and teach on money, and it's like everyone has a valuable perspective, but I've seen people unconsciously lean into money. And I've been doing this for a while now. And like, it's like if I wasn't in this, like because it was truly my calling, I would have fell off, right? Or the conversation would have changed
And
by
we've
now.
seen so many people come and go.
Yeah, so many people. And, everyone's doing their
Journey
best and
different.
own process, own journey, whatever. There's nuance and different trajectories of the soul. But
Mhm.
if you genuinely feel called to talk on money and teach on money and you came from a different position than I did, fucking rock out with your cock out, bitch, right? Like amazing.
Rocket like a
And
caucus.
yeah.
That was such a niche callback. Anyways.
But I do know that there are some people who aren't super upfront about it, and I'm like, if I came from a trust fund and I was teaching on money, I'd be like, here's my perspective of someone who came from money instead of it being like this, and that's your own money work that you need to do if you feel shame around it, right? So that it's not something you're hiding, but also it's like if your parents are funding your flights and for you to do things, or they're funding your business, and then you're like kind of being misleading on the internet where it's like
There's a lot of that happening.
I see a lot of that shit, and it's like, um,
Yeah.
thankfully, energetic integrity always lasts in the end. But again, it's not because again, that's like a guilt thing for having money, right? Where it's like if you feel guilty for having money, whether you came from money or you built your own, it's like that's a real feeling and a real charge that people have to work through, right? But it's like, um, guilt creates shame and shame makes you hide things and be dishonest and misleading, and that's where it's not clean, right? And so you got to get good with yourself, where you came from, the actual position you're in, and when you fucking own that, you're going to get 10x more money, 10x more clients, 10x more impact than you currently have now by doing little dancing around the energy.
Yeah, and I feel like when people have partners or like parents who are like and they're like business or money teachers in particular, and they're like, oh, like, they're misleading people and they're like, oh, I'm traveling or like, staying at this bougie hotel and meanwhile like
And their
they're
business made like $100 last month and it's
yeah,
being paid for by someone else.
by their parents or like their trust fund or like their partner who's wealthy. And it's like it just it's really lazy. Like not only is it not in integrity, but it's like really lazy like alignment. You're not being in alignment. You're being lazy and you're trying to like coast off of like the external like, ooh, look at my Chanel bag. And I'm not hating on Chanel, although I don't really like Chanel. I know Genevieve does. But it's just like it's a way where you're just like seeking you're posturing, you're fronting, you're seeking validation, and it's not real love. It's not real impact. It's not real service. It's just you like fucking around. You know what I mean? And like
And
scamming a little bit, you
yeah,
know?
well, I think there's a fine line between, because, I'm all for like, you don't have to share every single fucking ounce or detail of your life, right? You're allowed privacy. You're allowed to share what you want to share, not what you don't. But when it crosses that line where it's like inauthentic and or misleading, and that's when it's not clean, right? And I just
Hmm.
think if there was just more, because like, what's the cost of integrity, right? Lifelong alignment, being able to look yourself in the face, fall asleep at night, feeling good about who you are, how you do things, right? But also, it's like, the cost of integrity sometimes is like the thing you're avoiding and not doing that. And speaking from personal experience, it's not always easy, right? But it's like 5 seconds of discomfort. right? And it's like you're stronger than 5 seconds of discomfort or, people perceiving you weird. But it's like at the end of the day, when you're good with you and you know who you are, it's like you're untouchable, you're unstoppable, you're clear, nothing can fuck with you. You're truly unfuckwithable, and you can like really do what you came here to do. Your advantages are your advantages, and if you have like if you came for money, fuck yeah, again.
And if you came from
Like,
being a cute twin with a face card, fuck yeah.
start a fucking podcast.
Because I mean, like, I just, like, for example, because I mean, if you can't be like, because like, if I really, really believe if people were like, I came from money and therefore like my money energetics are so clean, like, and so that's my advantage, like that would rock like crazy. Like
Mhm.
that would really work. But it's like it's when people are like sloppy and vague and like confusing and you can and as a follower, or a potential client, like you can tell it's like it maybe looks good, but there's something that just
Something about
doesn't
it feels off.
off, or it like
Mhm.
just doesn't hit you like in your heart as deeply as like somebody else as
Authenticity and truth.
authenticity and
Yeah.
truth. Yeah. And
Hmm.
like, like for example, like something that I shared about in my last relationship, like there was a point where, and this was like a flex, like, but like in a feminine energetic way, because like something that can be a really taboo conversation, and something that I've really worked on over the years is like I am um, like I'm a sovereign woman. I can take care of myself emotionally. I can enjoy my time alone. I can provide for myself financially, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But just because I have a sovereignty doesn't mean that like in a partnership, I want to be hyper independent, overextended. And so a part of a way, like in most relationships between men and women in a partnership, like the thing that people get uncomfortable talking about is when it comes to like money and who pays for what. And I truly believe in most dynamics, like it makes the most sense for a man to be paying for more things. And like in my last relationship, that was the case where it's like he paid for a lot of our like trips. And like, there was a point where I like stayed in his apartment before we got a place together for like almost 6 months and didn't pay for shit. I was even like, maybe I should. And I was like, hmm. And then he even was like, no, I don't want you to. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, but yeah, so it's like,
Just checking in on the baby.
no, of course, but it's like, it's really just about telling people the truth and like owning whatever it is. And if there's something that you don't feel good about, like that's what you need to look at and that's what you need to deal with, right?
Feel good with, and it's like we all have those moments,
Yeah.
it's just different perspectives and different vantage points.
Mm-hmm. Amen. And so I was gonna pivot, but you say something.
So I'm imagining you asking me this question in my head. But um, for someone who did not come from money, right? As in yours truly and over here.
Ay.
Um, and we talked about support systems and all of that. It's like how do you build a life that you really, really love accordingly? How do you make a lot of money? How do you build a business and scale and like doing work you fucking love that actually makes you a fuck ton of money, right? Because I hope if you're listening to this podcast, you're one of those people who's already done work around like feeling weird about making money or wanting to make a lot of money. It's like that's just propaganda, okay? That is propaganda. Sure, like if you're an asshole without money, you can be an asshole with money. If you're an asshole with money, you can be an asshole without money. But it's like don't buy into the propaganda and don't let money or the idea of having money or having a lot take your power away from you, where you stop being who you are, where you stop knowing who you are and flexing your values in the world. Like good people with a lot of money do really good shit, right? And so don't buy into the propaganda. Okay, anyways.
And you
But
deserve to live a good life and have your needs met. And in society, money is required. Money is a loving
and not
tool.
just needs met, cup runneth over bitches, right? Like
Yeah,
overflow.
needs and desires.
Yeah. Life wants to meet you in like better than what you could have expected or anticipated by yourself. But
You
what I want to
manifested it.
say, yeah, what I want to say is, oh, it's kind of heavy.
I know. Tell me about it. My wrist.
What I want to say is like, if you're someone who is in a similar position that I've been in before or we've been in before, to me, there's just this very important, like, how do you get from there to there, right? There's this very important decision you have to make where it's like nothing else is an option, right? And so on one level, that could have in a moment come from this like, well, I don't have any other options, right? Nothing to lose. The only place to go is up, right? But also, it's like this ultimate decision of giving all of yourself to the desires of your heart and what you want, and then that's a fully like congruent signal you're sending out to the universe. Like there's no hedging. All of you is going because there's a difference between running away from what you don't want and running towards what you do.
And I really feel like I completely agree, cosign, as you say. Like there's something about how it I like to say sometimes your soul gets this like itchy sweater feeling when you're living out of alignment with what you actually want to be doing. And sometimes it's not so like dire, where it's like, oh, this has to work, but it's like, it's this feeling and this standard in yourself. And a lot of people shy away from this and like puss out on themselves.
It's so funny. I always say it's like you a feeling like you haven't brushed your teeth, and then something in one of my memberships, a hashtag we started was we don't puss out, we puss in.
Yeah, don't puss out, puss in. And it's like people, because it's like a lot of people operate from, and I got guilty of this around like the 6 figure a year mark in business where I was like, well, I make enough, I make enough. And then it's like I was motivated by making money, like obviously through purpose and doing what I loved and what I was good at. But like in terms of like my financial standards for my experience, it was like, oh, like I don't like it was like as soon as I had enough money, I would kind of like check out instead of like having this bigger vision and like desire that I was locked in around. And a lot of you motherfuckers do that. Even if you don't.
It's like having a compelling connection to your future self.
Yeah, and like even if you're not a business owner, like if you work in sales or whatever, right? Like you have to call yourself.
You're a person in the fucking world who has desire.
Yeah, and like you have a job and you want to like have a higher paying job. Like you have to like stop being like a complacent puss about what you want.
If not you, then who? If not now, then when?
Yeah, like you're not getting any younger. A little tough love, but I mean you're not. You're not. I'm not either. Nothing wrong with that. But like, what are you doing?
Aging is a privilege.
It is.
And I don't even say aging. I say moving through time, getting wiser and hotter.
Amen. Like it should only be getting better. And it's like people unconsciously have these standards like in their nervous system and their subconscious mind around money,
Threshold.
around relationships. And it's like they're like, oh, I'm good, I'm comfortable here. And then it's like they start backsliding. And then they're like, oh shit. And it's like this
Within that
cycle.
range.
Yeah, within that range. And it's like, oh, you have a certain amount of debt, a certain amount of income, a certain amount in your bank account. And then you don't start moving until it like dips down enough. And it's like, cut the shit. Like you could have just kept going and it's not in a way where it's like burn yourself out. You should have been taking care of yourself the whole fucking time. Like you should be getting your runs. You should be doing your Pilates. You should be taking your like getting plenty of sleep. If you're a woman, 9 hours a night. Thank me later. And if you can. um at least most nights. Pencil it in if you can. And like you should also be enjoying yourself alongside of that. If you're not, you that's a restructuring problem. That's a boundary issue. You're not taking care of yourself. And that's not like the problem isn't that you're working, it's that you're not working intelligently with your energy and your body and your system, right?
You have enough of like you have what you need to get what you want.
Yeah.
And so when you accept that and you stop negotiating with yourself and your life in this way, then you stop like fighting your life, overcoming your life, and then you just rearrange things and align things. And then you have like a flow and an ease that you begin to experience in your progression forward in your life.
I feel like I scolded you guys, but I feel like some of you guys needed that.
Sometimes you need a little.
Yeah, I need a little kick in the ass. But so it's like don't puss out, puss in, right? Quotable. Don't puss out, puss in. And like, like from a place of self-respect, from a place of self-love, right? Like
This is like bringing your will back into your life, where it's like if you're not utilizing your energy to choose what your life is, have you noticed you have less energy and you start to like kind of get denser and you operate like an NPC, right? Like a non player.
Yeah, NPC, like
non something.
Like you're not a real person. Yeah.
Like you're just a filler person.
Yeah. And it's like, and here's the thing, it's like that energy, when it's not channeled consciously, it just like leaks out into bullshit, right? It just leaks out into emotional eating, like addiction. It leaks out into like, oh my God, like this guy didn't text me back, my work, like, and you're putting all this, and there's anxious attachment that plays a role into that too. But it's like anxious attachment when you're like freaking out about some guy, it's really because you're sourcing your sense of security from him. And if you just showed yourself that that you like could take really good care of yourself emotionally, practically, and also financially, that like, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, like my world isn't ending if this guy like ghosted me or whatever. Like you're like you show yourself how good you are and you start just showing up in a more conscious regulated way in every asset of your life, and your life gets so much better and you're so much happier and you're so much more proud of yourself and confident, and you fucking deserve that, right? So anyways, I could honestly talk about this forever, but
Maybe more in LA.
yeah, I mean, if you're liking the vibes, get your ass to LA. Just saying.
Mhm.
But so honorable mention to um,
We should wrap up soon
yeah,
'cause
yeah,
we're looking at closing.
honorable mention to the recent breakup. Like I feel so like I feel so complete. Like my energy feels so like resolved, and like the thing that I've like I feel like I processed the grief. Like I feel like my energy is going into new things and new places, and like my vision and like for my future partner, which I'm just gonna randomly probably in a couple years just pop up like with a husband. Like I'm not even gonna like soft launch a boyfriend. Like I've done the boyfriend, I've done the fiance. Like next era will be a husband. Maybe I'll share some dating escapades in the
What's
meantime,
that
but
Cardi B thing? If there's not a ring on my finger, you ain't going. Ran.
yeah, I'm just like I'm 30. Like in the next like couple of years, I'll just like probably pop up with a husband. And just know he will be a daddy and he will be like just a really good human. Otherwise, this would not happen. But
As it
um,
should be.
I know.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, and like the thing with my like last breakup, like me and my ex, like we are friends, but I'm just kind of mindful to not like talk to him too much or like vice versa, or be like, you know,
Yeah, I feel like you guys, from what I've observed, are having a really good dynamic with like staying friends, but not it like going into um like
unconscious default mode.
well, no, like without it going into like weird shit or like unconsciously backsliding into a relationship, which is hard to do. So, props.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm very uh sensitive to my energy where I'm like, okay, this does not because people think that it's like, oh, it's harmless if I'm like talking to my ex this much, like we're done, like da da da. But it's like if you're putting too much energy into an ex, like that is energy that you're supposed to mentally and emotionally be putting into like yearning for and imagining and daydreaming about a new future and new preferences and creating like emotional availability for that when you're ready. And like in the interim, that energy needs to be largely going into you. And so like
Mhm.
if you cannot do that, you probably need to go no contact. And most people are not very good at that.
Yeah, I feel
So
like just stating it's like getting energetically pregnant with your desires, and it's like you're not allowing that process to happen. So you're not allowing desire to come forth and pull you.
yeah, you're that's stagnancy, honestly. And like we're humans, like sometimes things are a bit of a process, but honestly, like call yourself the fuck out and be like, this is my life. Because one thing I'm a stand for in partnership in particular is you need to protect your energy. And like relationships are meant to be like a partnership in particular. It should be adding to your life. And it will when it's the right fit, your aligned values are there, aligned vision, etc. And it's a healthy relationship. There's not like narcissistic abuse, patterns of like the anxious avoidant trap in there, like et cetera, and so on and so forth. Um, and unconscious, tumultuous shit. But yeah, and so it's like the same thing applies to a breakup, and like the same thing applies to being single, like consciously and intentionally too. And dating, like dating while having, and so much of it is about regulation and not just being an unconscious codependent where you're like, I'm bored, I'm gonna hit up my ex, like I'm lonely, I'm gonna hit up my ex, or like I need some attention because I'm feeling like insecure and like having scarcity, like thoughts about my future potential partner. I'm just gonna talk to my ex and maybe I should get back with him. It wasn't that bad, it wasn't that misaligned. Stop it, stop it, stop it. Like,
You're on one tonight.
I know. I think I'm about to start my period. But yeah, so yeah, like
She told me that, and I was like, stay back.
I'm just like I'm not even like I'm not like emotional or like frustrated. I'm just like more direct. Like today, I'm just like but yeah, like be like, be mindful of your energy, like, because you need that loneliness to find yourself. If you feel lonely, you need that space to like fully integrate and stand on your own 2 feet and like get acquainted with the universe on a deeper level and like allow yourself to be vulnerably open to new potential partners when you're ready. Um, but yeah, so with that said, we're gonna do a hard little pivot here into, which by the way, if you're vibing with the X talk, stay tuned for choosing my mini mind that's coming up around standards and breakups. Um, but we like to end each episode with a funny little weird thing. And today I thought that because a couple weeks ago, before we announced our podcast, we had people ask us anonymously anything that they wanted to ask. So I'm going to pull up a few questions that we're just going to answer. Will you hold that?
Lovely. Can't wait. There was like nothing too crazy. I was like honestly expecting for somebody to be like, "Do you guys scissor?" or like, or somebody to be like,
Haven't been asked that since high school.
yeah. Or for people to be like,
Explain the fetish.
yeah, or for people to be like, "You guys should make out." She didn't even crack, not even a little. Sorry, guys, I tried. What can I say? But or for people to be like, you guys are, I hate your guts and your stupid face. Like whatever.
Why can't you stop watching then?
I know, right?
Just love that you've repressed, that you're in denial of. It's okay.
No.
We love you too.
But from a distance. Okay, so are Gianna and Dustin still together? Asked and answered. Okay. What is the single best piece of advice you can give about life? Separate answers from you and from Genevieve, please. What a big question.
I feel like we kind of talked
I
about
know.
that.
I was just thinking that. Asked and answered.
Yeah,
At the beginning of the podcast.
I would agree. We don't need to, yeah, 100%.
Okay. Do you do psychic things together?
I mean, do you wake up in the morning and put on pants?
No.
Never. Absolutely not. And so something I like to do is, I don't know. It's kind of a secret. Well, I've just really come to this place in my life, hello, where we started doing psychic medium work, when we were 12, 13 for like paid readings.
Well, we would help with our mom's clients.
Well,
when we
that
were,
was like
very young.
previous. Yeah.
But I think we first started
Like on our own.
was like maybe 14, 15,
I
14.
thought it was 13.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
It was after we started the YouTube channel.
Anyways,
Yeah.
we yeah, so that's always there, right? But sometimes the spirits, if you will, really make me turn into, what's that Long Island medium? And where she like walks up to someone in public and she's like, "I'm so sorry." Like,
Oh yeah.
I have moments like that, and
Same, especially if
but
I
I
had like a
only
glass of wine or something.
I only do it if I'm wildly compelled, because I'm like, I'm just no, I'm kind of unavailable to do it, but I'm somewhat available, so I have to be very compelled. Like I'm talking like I like get uncomfortable, like I'm really
Yeah, like
uncomfortable
it
by
feels like
doing it.
somebody's going like this. Sorry, that's
Yeah.
what I would compare it to. I mean, breath smells, so it's fine.
I just don't like being breathed on at all, so it doesn't matter what it smells like. I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding, but you didn't.
She's definitely not gonna want to make out now.
But yeah, so I was telling my clients about this at dinner. I was like, I'll do it every once in a while, and it's like a way. I feel like it's like I stay honed in on my stuff, because like that's very big in my work. So something my clients tell me all the time is like I give them a lobotomy around money, and so it's just a way I'm able to, with precision, hone in on their specific patterns around money, and just untangle them, and then just open them up and set them free and get them in the flow and receiving, right? And it's a big part of that, right? And there's a yeah, sometimes there's just really specific things. But I did it recently when I was in Aspen, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know, dude. Like,
That was scary how specific you were though, like in a good way.
yeah, and me and the person texted a little bit, and she was like, anyways.
I mean, so I get very similar and like sometimes like I naturally infuse like intuitive coaching and like psychicness into especially one-on-one work because it's always like when I have the chance to like connect with someone's energy more one-on-one. But and like sometimes there will be a mediumship element if someone's crossover loved one insists. And like that has happened. But as far as like together, not really, but we are very telepathic with each other. So
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't done together things in a while.
yeah.
What's your height?
Like
Come to LA and find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next
True,
question.
true. We could be 4'9", we could be 6'3". You're just gonna have to find out. Okay. Do you ever go mad with each other? I feel like that was a British person saying, do you ever get mad at each other?
Yeah, I mean, she like annoys me sometimes, but I never get mad at her.
Same.
Honestly, like
Like sometimes I'm just like, but then I just like brush it off. I'm just like, it's fine.
yeah, because I mean, no,
He is the mother of my nephew. I will let this one slide.
well, I just feel like I'm really direct and clear and aware of my needs and aware of things. It's very rare that if something were to happen, it's just like a miscommunication or like a an oopsie daisies, like a
We never have like big fights. Like
mm-mm.
like Genevieve is like I just feel like we really get each other so deeply and we're so similar with the things that we value and
Mm-hmm.
appreciate and we know how to like I feel like we make each other feel very emotionally safe and respected and valued and appreciated. And like I can read and be like, "Oh, she doesn't want anybody bothering her right now," and I just walk away like, or vice versa. Or
And
like
then it's really easy for me to just be like, hey, I don't want anyone bothering me right now. Thank you.
yeah. Um, there was something like really dumb that we got into a fight around like and it was like just like a little snippy like sister moment like a couple weeks ago. And
Oh,
it
I
was
don't
like
remember it.
it was like over a space heater or something stupid. And like
Oh, yeah.
we said a few like snappy comments at each other and then I literally and she like came upstairs and I came upstairs after her because I just needed to come upstairs. And then we just like looked at each other and we're like and we just like start cracking up like that was so stupid. Like,
Did we talk about that on the last episode?
did we? I don't know. But I just, yeah, like we don't really fight, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who are your, okay, that's from the app. That's from the app. Someone said, what's your, oh, wait, do you share all the content you create with each other?
No.
No, not really. Sometimes I'll be like, if I'm like being like, damn, that was good. And I like want to read to someone, I'll be like, John, can I read you this, Genevieve? And vice versa.
I feel like I don't really do that anymore.
Yeah, but it's happened.
Yeah, it's happened before.
Or like if there's something that I'm like having a hard time trying to articulate or something, I might be like, Genevieve, like, can I bounce something off of you? Or like vice versa a bit. But that's about it. Um, and then the next question, what's your human design? So I don't really know. You know the stuff
We
better than I would.
are generator, sacral authority, 3-5.
Whatever that means. No, I know five lines are like people either love you or hate you.
Yeah, but also I'm so fucking sick of that sometimes. Like, because I feel like there's a couple 5 lines who like to be like, me, I'm a 5 line. People just don't like me. And it's like, actually, you did do some shit that was fucking problematic or wrong, and you're just not taking any accountability around it. And you're really like, you're hiding behind the 5 line thing. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
bit
there's
more
validity
nuanced.
to it. Yeah, there's validity to it for sure. You have a projection field, is what they say when you're a 5 line, but also grow the fuck up and take personal responsibility. Okay.
Anyways. Yeah, Taylor Swift is a good example of a five line. Like where I feel like people are like, oh my God, I'm such a Swiftie, or people are like, who cares about the billionaire Barbie biatch? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure. Well, usually how people interact with 5 lines, which were 5 lines, there's usually a strong opinion, usually. And so usually it's like, I fucking love them, or it's like, I fucking hate them.
You know you love us.
Wait, that's
I
the cover for
I know. I definitely spent a lot of time interacting with a lot of people in the porn industry thanks to my last relationship. So if I just randomly have a like a grotesquely sexual comment, enjoy. Um, but yeah, okay. So other questions? I think that was maybe it. Yeah,
Cool.
the end.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for being here. Again, reach out to us if you want to hang out with us in LA. Not sure if we're doing another one.
And we don't mean this is a very specific call out. We don't mean random men we went to high school with who are trying to chill with us when we're in California. Okay, thank you.
No,
Talking about ladies to the event. Thank you.
specifically if you want to come to the event.
Specifically. And then yeah, and then thanks for watching. And if you like are loving the podcast, it would honestly really mean so much if you leave a comment, leave a review. If you're listening to it on Apple, Spotify, wherever, if you leave a review, especially a positive one, and leave a comment on YouTube, subscribe, that would mean the world to us. It just continues to support us in doing the podcast. And just lets us know that you guys are enjoying it. So we would love it if you did
Because if
that.
you guys don't know, we're just going to assume you don't, and then we're going to stop. So,
Yeah. Do you want this podcast or not?
I mean, I'm pretty busy. I got a lot of other shit going on.
Amen. Okay, we love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.